Okay, it was supposed to be a harmless joke. A decorated Navy SEAL admiral, sharp, confident, and feared by everyone on base, decided to tease the new janitor. The guy was quiet, a single dad just trying to make ends meet, pushing a mop down the same halls that echoed with the footsteps of warriors. One morning, in front of a group of officers, the admiral smirked and asked, "Hey, janitor, what's your call sign?" Everyone chuckled. But the laughter died instantly when the janitor looked up, eyes calm and steady, and said two words. "Lone Eagle." The room went silent. The admiral froze. And from that moment, everything changed. Hey everyone, welcome to Your Channel Name, where we share real and inspiring stories that remind us of the power of kindness and the strength of the human spirit. If this story touches your heart, please hit subscribe, like, and leave a comment below to tell us what kindness means to you. Now, let's get into today's story. The story begins in Norfolk, Virginia, home to one of the largest naval bases in the world. Inside a gray building that smelled faintly of coffee and cleaning solution, Ethan Miller, a single father of one, began his night shift as the janitor. Ethan wasn't anyone special in the eyes of the people who passed him. He wore faded blue coveralls, carried a mop bucket, and always had his earbuds in, listening to quiet country music. He worked hard, stayed late, and spoke little. Most folks just nodded at him in the hallway, barely noticing his kind smile. But Ethan was okay with that. He didn't need attention. He just needed a paycheck and the health insurance that came with it because his 7-year-old daughter, Maddie, was battling a heart condition that required expensive medication. Every night, after he finished cleaning the base's offices, Ethan would drive home in his old Ford truck, kiss his sleeping daughter on the forehead, and fall asleep on the couch, exhausted but grateful she was still breathing easy. That's who Ethan was, quiet strength wrapped in humility. A few months into the job, the base got a new commanding officer, Admiral James Porter, a decorated Navy SEAL with a reputation for toughness and sarcasm. He'd served in Afghanistan and Iraq, and his name carried weight. To most, he was intimidating, an icon of discipline and command. One morning, Porter was giving a pep talk to a group of young officers in the hallway. Ethan happened to be mopping nearby. When the admiral noticed him, he called out in a teasing tone. "Hey, janitor. What's your call sign?" The officers laughed. Everyone knew call signs were for pilots and special ops guys, not janitors. Ethan paused, looked up, and in a quiet, even voice said, "Lone Eagle, sir." The laughter stopped. The admiral's smile faltered. That name, it wasn't random. Porter had heard it before. "Lone Eagle," he repeated slowly. "You're kidding." Ethan just nodded politely. "No, sir. That was my call sign." Porter's face changed. His eyes narrowed in disbelief. He looked at the man holding the mop, a man with graying hair, a slight limp, and calloused hands. "Wait, you're Lieutenant Miller? From Task Force 7? Ethan just nodded again, expression calm. "Used to be, sir." The admiral stood frozen. He remembered the name. Lone Eagle. A SEAL sniper from years ago. A legend whispered about in the ranks, known for saving an entire unit pinned down during a firefight in the Cunner Valley. A man who disappeared from service after taking a bullet to the leg and losing his wife in a car crash soon after returning home. The admiral had once seen his name on a commendation list for extraordinary valor. And now that same man was standing in front of him, pushing him up. The officers around them didn't know what to say. The silence stretched heavy in the air. Finally, the admiral cleared his throat. "Lieutenant. I mean, Ethan. I didn't know." Ethan just smiled. "That's okay, sir. I'm just doing my job now." The admiral nodded slowly, looking both embarrassed and deeply thoughtful. "You shouldn't be. You've done more for this country than most of us ever will." Ethan's eyes softened. "I appreciate that. But right now, what matters most to me is my daughter. She needs me more than the Navy does." Porter didn't respond right away. He just stared at the man before him, the quiet janitor who'd once been a hero, who'd traded medals for mops, and war rooms for hospital visits. over the next few weeks, something changed at the base. Whenever Admiral Porter saw Ethan, he didn't just nod and walk past. He stopped to talk. Sometimes he helped carry supplies or asked about Maddie. The officers noticed too. The janitor everyone used to ignore was suddenly being treated with respect. But Ethan never acted proud. He kept working hard, always polite, always humble. One evening, Porter found him sitting on a bench outside the base after his shift. The sunset painted the sky orange and gold. The Admiral sat down beside him. "You know," he said quietly, "I've met a lot of tough men in my life. But you might be the strongest." Ethan chuckled softly. "I don't know about that, sir. I just do what I can." Porter looked at him seriously. "Why didn't you ever tell anyone who you were?" Ethan shrugged. "Because it doesn't matter anymore. Kindness matters. My daughter's doctors, the nurses, the people who helped me get this job, they saved my life more than I ever saved anyone else's." He looked out at the horizon. Sometimes the bravest thing a man can do isn't fight a war. It's learn to be gentle when life gets hard. A few weeks later, Porter called an all-hands meeting. The entire staff gathered in the main hall. Ethan stood in the back, leaning on his mop handle. The Admiral stepped up to the podium. "Before we start," he said, "I want to recognize someone." The room went quiet. "This man works among us every day," Porter continued, "and most of us have walked right past him without knowing who he really is. He doesn't wear medals or a uniform anymore, but his service, his sacrifice, and his kindness are reminders of what honor truly looks like." He turned toward Ethan. "Ethan Miller. Call sign Lone Eagle." Everyone turned. The janitor looked stunned. Porter motioned for him to come forward. As Ethan walked up, people began to clap. It started soft but grew louder until the whole room was on its feet. Porter shook his hand firmly and said, "You taught me something I'll never forget, that respect and kindness should never depend on rank." Ethan smiled shyly, eyes glistening. "Thank you, sir. That means a lot." After that day, Ethan's life changed in quiet but meaningful ways. The base organized a fundraiser for Maddie's treatment. Donations poured in from officers, enlisted men, and even local businesses. Ethan tried to refuse at first, but Porter told him, "You've given enough to this country. Let us give something back." With the help of the community, Maddie's surgery was paid for. She recovered slowly but surely, her smile brighter than ever. Ethan kept his job, still cleaning those same halls, but now, every time someone passed him, they saw not just a janitor, but a man who reminded them of what true strength looked like. Months later, Admiral Porter retired. On his last day, he stopped by Ethan's office. They shook hands one final time. "You know," Porter said, "I used to think leadership was about commanding respect. But you showed me it's really about giving it." Ethan smiled. "And kindness, sir. Never forget that part." Porter nodded. "Kindness. Got it." He walked away with tears in his eyes, realizing that one simple act of humility, a janitor's quiet dignity, had changed the way he saw the world. Kindness doesn't need a title. It doesn't wear medals or demand attention. It's in the quiet things, the way we treat people when we think no one's watching, the way we lift someone who's fallen, the way we listen without judgment. Ethan Miller never bragged about his past. He didn't have to. His kindness spoke louder than any story of war or heroism ever could. And maybe that's what the world needs most right now, fewer admirals trying to prove they're strong, and more janitors reminding us how to be kind. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a reminder that kindness is never wasted.